Hi, welcome to the episode 2 discussion. Again, I'm Jenna.
And I'm Megan. This episode is The Expected.
The first person we interviewed as our character is a woman named Patricia, and she was a nurse on Colony 1. So she talks a little bit about some of the things we touched on in episode 1 about mental issues and how people suffered from anxiety and depression, and she was always very on top of that.
I was listening to the podcast this morning, and but the thing that struck me the most was her very last line, and I think because it's hitting home so close right now, like we're planting some vegetables in our garden right now because we don't want to have to be without fresh produce. And so I'm just going to read the line because I love it so much. And Jenna's character says, "Are you disappointed that you had to stay on Mars?" Because she's still on Mars. And she says she's adjusting, and that maybe it's because she has important things to learn, life lessons in small bites. And Jenna's character asks what she means, and she says, "Watching a tomato form on a vine, getting redder and redder each day is a blessing. I know it's corny, but when we're so used to getting anything we want exactly when we want it, when all that gets taken away, you sober up quickly. You understand gratitude. And when you finally get to bite into one of those tomatoes and the juices run down your hand, it tastes like you've uncovered the secrets of the universe." And for some reason, it hit me like kind of emotionally today. I got a little choked up listening to it because I think with all that's going on right now, getting back to appreciating the little things and realizing how amazing they are, I guess. If something positive can come out of this, that's, I guess, one of the things that I've gotten from it is, spending more time, taking time to like make dinner and go for a walk and like smell the, fresh air and like really appreciating that, and not just running with my head down trying to get a million things done, but actually pausing a little bit. And I think that's why that line hit me today when I was listening to it.
One of the other things I really loved about that interview is that Patricia talks about how she's married to Chef Jeff, and Megan and I had discussed a lot about what realistically would be needed from the humans on Mars if we wanted to start a colony and build it. We would need people to reproduce, and people who could get along, who were already used to being in small spaces together, like married couples. And that's something that I think is very interesting to think about. If you have a colony on another planet that you're hoping is going to last forever, you need families, not just, like what we often see, these really independent, strong-willed astronauts who are going to get it done. Like, we got to have people making babies on Mars.
We had fun kind of thinking like, well, who does all the laundry, or like, kind of just different elements of what's needed to build a colony.
Yeah, right. And Patricia talks about how they're just a group of people who do the same thing every day. Because it would be that there would be people on laundry assignments and people to fix torn pants and make food and clean. All those things would be jobs that everybody has. So it makes it seem so much more like every day.
Yeah.
So in Steve's interview, he talks about how they repurposed garbage as extra shielding on the outside of the habitats. And neither Megan nor I can remember where that idea came from. And if we verified its validity somehow, but it seems like a nice idea, like it could make sense, but we have no idea where it came from.
Next interview is the one that you wrote with Adia Dial. I'm terrible at saying her name correctly.
I know.
I love that interview. That's one of my favorite ones. She's just like so excited, so genuinely excited about
Mhm.
being on Mars and what that felt like and their discoveries, and then even her description of the solar flare. I had people leave us comments in one of the podcast groups that we're a part of that was like, I felt like they were in the car and they're like, I felt like I was listening to, you know, someone actually talking about a solar flare that they had, you know, survived.
I don't remember at what point we learned about solar flares during our research. We did so much research for this project. Um, but at some point we learned about solar flares and how they happen. We're just not on Earth, we're just not that aware of them. On Mars, we believe that Mars has a solid core, and therefore their magnetic field is very weak, especially compared to ours. So experiencing a solar flare on Mars would be very dangerous. And Adia, when she's reliving that moment, she mentions at the end that they were also very lucky that the sunset was happening at the time that the solar flare came, so that most of the radiation hit other parts of Mars. So they were very lucky in that way as well. And she has that lovely moment where she's describing she's terrified knowing that the solar flare is happening, and she and her colleague are just outside exposed. They can't get back to safety. And she notices the sunset and has a moment where she takes in how beautiful it is, knowing that she could be on the verge of experiencing a lethal dose of radiation. And Megan and I were fascinated when we learned that the sunsets on Mars are blue.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
We thought it was so cool. I actually pulled up a picture so we could show you guys.
Yes.
Let's see if I can get it to work. So that's a sunset on Mars, and I just think it's beautiful. We got very excited about it.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. It seems like it has to be photoshopped.
We hope you guys are following along and enjoying the episodes. I'm definitely enjoying listening to them again. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions or comments about any of it, feel free to drop us a question or, you know, in the comment section, and we'll answer it on our next video chat. Have a good week.
Bye.